My name is Luke Pratt.
I'm Caleb Brown.
I'm Levi Patrick.
I'm Keyshawn Kalor.
Together, we're Team 60 Seconds. We're Team 60 Seconds because it never comes together until the last 60 seconds. This is the final video presentation for ME 2110. Okay, so our purpose in this competition is to defeat the Black Knight, gather shrubbery for the knights who say, "Icky, icky, 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 fatang, zoom boing, no?" Lob in the holy hand grenades of Antioch to stop the killer rabbit, retrieve the Holy Grail, and of course, we're doing all of this to win the competition. With so many objectives and so little time, we had to focus our time and effort on the most valuable objectives. We could also maybe work on some lesser objectives, but we needed to prioritize the ones that were worth the most points. So as illustrated by this evaluation matrix, the holy hand grenades and gathering shrubbery are the most valuable objectives. You can see that we weighted the absolute value of points possible by completing an objective, how free we are to complete the objective, the perceived ease of completing the objective, and the points possible by relative gain, which is to say points that we can prevent other groups from gaining by completing this objective. Once we knew the objectives that we were going to prioritize, we created a morphological chart to list out all of the different possible solutions for these objectives. As you can see, the objectives that we focused more on, like the shrubbery, have a lot more possible solutions than the subsystems that we didn't give much focus to. As you can see, we only have one possible solution for the Holy Grail, but we have a lot of possible solutions to gathering shrubbery. This is the machine that we came to once we looked at all of the possible subsystems. This one does very good with the amount of space that it takes up, it's fairly reliable, and it was not too difficult to build, which was good for our group because we didn't have much building experience. This is our fully activated machine. There are only a couple of simple steps to its functioning. The first thing that happens is the right side actuator kicks out and positions its arm above the shrubbery. A fraction of a second later, the left side actuator is activated and positions its arm above its shrubbery. A string from the left side actuator is attached to a wooden block in front of the drawer slider system. So as that actuator actuates, it pulls that block out of the way and allows the drawer slider system to slide forward through the force of gravity. So once the drawer slider system is allowed to slide forward, it stops at the arena and begins to deposit balls by using the force of the rotation to spin its wheel. After a couple of seconds, the shrubbery arms are pulled inward by a motor and string system to pull in all of the shrubbery that we have encapsulated earlier. After a longer period of time, a motor attached to the ping pong system pulls it backwards, and then we get double the points for egressing. We created a function tree to really illustrate what a machine does. Most of this was discussed in the previous slides, so I'm not going to go into depth about this. I am going to leave this up for about 25 seconds so that you may look through it and see how our machine works with more detail. We also came up with a few alternative designs when we were coming up with this machine. Some of these are optimized for different things. One of them might focus on the shrubbery, one of them might focus on the holy hand grenades, one of them might be more effective overall, but far more harder to build or potentially less reliable. This is Megatron. This is the first alternative design that we came to. The primary difference between this design and the other designs is that this has arms that sweep outwards and then inwards, encapsulating the entire space of the arena. The reason that we didn't use this design is that it moved far too slowly to be competitive. The only way this could have worked is if we used a weight and pulley system to power the rotation of our arms, but we just couldn't manage getting the mechanics of that to work out properly. This is Captain Jack Sparrow. The most unique thing about this design is that it makes an attempt to catch the Holy Grail. The trade-off is we have to have the very slow shrubbery system if we're using this design, which is one of the main reasons that we decided not to. This is the third alternative that we came to. We call this the Secret Admirer. What's unique about this system is that it uses a mousetrap subsystem to slap the Black Knight out of our zone and hopefully into another group zone. Again, we couldn't really use this design because the only way that the spacing would have worked would be with the very slow shrubbery system. This is a fourth alternative that we came to. We call this the Crouch Tiger. What's special about this design is that it's meant to slam into the arena and knock the Holy Grail unsteady. The idea is that we'd find a way to make it fall into our zone and catch it in the Grail catch at the top of the machine. So, to decide which machine we were going to use for the competition, we created an evaluation matrix. Our selected system is number 1. As you can see, our selected system has a high speed, it's very safe, it's quick to set up, it has a high force of action, it's not very big, and it doesn't take very long to build. We sent our machine through extensive testing. We were consistently receiving between 6 to 8 shrubbery and 3 to 4 holy hand grenades. This gave us a score range of 60 to 110. During the competition, we could assume that we would get at least 50% less shrubbery, so for the actual competition, we were expecting a score range of 39 to 82. During the preliminary competition, we did fairly well. We only had one round where everything worked reliably, and during that round we got approximately 45 points. The other 2 rounds we had minor issues on the machine that caused us to get very low points or even negative points. But the one round that things went well agreed with our preliminary test results. This is a video that we took the night before the competition. At this point we had worked out almost all of the kinks in the machine. We did have a few things to adjust in the programming, but as you can see here, it's working fairly well. So how did we do in the actual competition? The competition did not go very well for us. We only participated in 2 rounds, and we won neither of them. Things fell apart pretty quickly on the day of the competition, and just mistake after mistake after mistake ruined us. During the first round of the competition, we got negative 6 points. During the second round of the competition, we got positive 4 points. So, a lot of little things went wrong with our machine. These were all things that would have been quick fixes and that would have totally changed our performance had we known about them. For instance, the first thing that went wrong is that we had mouse traps on the hinges of our pneumatic arms, and when we were trying to box our machine, they would kick it out and cause us to not box. We didn't test our machine under realistic conditions. We just very carefully boxed it to see if it would even fit in the first place, and that's all we ever did. So we didn't know that this was such a big issue. To compensate for it in the competition, we had to shove the pneumatic arms very hard into the holder that kept them in place, which caused everything to slow down and for all the timing to delay. Also, we would have won the first round if we didn't make a critical error. We did not put in the ping pong balls on our checklist. We did have a checklist, but we didn't put ping pong balls on the checklist. And in the franticness of the situation and us just freaking out and trying to do it really fast, we forgot about it. There's a few things that we could have done the day of the competition that would have dramatically improved our performance. We think that round 4 would be realistic for us if we had simply removed the mouse traps and didn't have any issues with boxing. The next thing we could have done is use a string spool system so that our shrubbery arms come in more reliably and more evenly. So as far as long-term improvements, there's obviously the Black Knight hook system. Not going to really go into that. All we would do is free up space under our slider to attach the Black Knight hook to it. Every other group and their mother has done that, so not going to discuss that. But what was unique to our group is that we had a working prototype for a grenade removal system. But what was special about our removal system was that it would allow us to remove other groups' balls, insert our own, and egress using only one motor, so we would still have the mechatronics to use for the shrubbery arms. This is what our future design would look like. This does not have the removal system on it, but it does have all of the other improvements included.